Hello everyone and welcome to the first episode of the Pokemon Platinum Theftlocke series. I imagine a lot of you won't know what this is, simply because this is not a very usual kind of nuzlocke variant, because it's one that's, to this very day, only been done on this channel. I have done 2 of them so far. I have done one on Hard Gold, which for some reason me and Hard Gold just don't go very well together, because I always lose those runs very early on. I don't know why. And then one on Platinum, but that's been quite a while, and we're redoing Platinum right now because we done Gen 3 and then we went all the way to Gen 5. We just kind of skipped Generation 4 with our series, so let's just go into Generation 4, I figured, and Platinum is the best Generation 4 game, obviously. So, Pokemon Platinum it is. And I'll get into what a Theftlocke actually is in a moment, once we have gone through this, because now I don't have to focus anymore, I can just mash buttons. It's like a nuzlocke, but you steal the Pokemon. And for that, in the description of every video in this entire Let's Play, there will be an action replay code in the description, which you can copy paste into your emulator of choice, and it'll allow you to catch trainer Pokemon. There will be a couple of specific rules for catching Pokemon and what can we and can we not catch. I'll get into that in a second, but it's very much like a nuzlocke, but there's a couple of like minor changes and clauses which I want to add. Because let's wait for naming our rival and then I'll actually get into it. What might his name be? We are going to go with let's go with James, because Team Rocket. Yeah, I mean, we're stealing Pokemon, so I want to kind of like have this be based in theme around like evil teams. And I've actually come up with a fun nickname theme, I think, for this series, because last series we didn't really have a nickname theme, and then the series before that we have fictional characters. In this series I'm going to nickname my Pokemon after YouTube personalities. And that will also allow you, people watching this, to know who I watch a lot of and who I don't really watch and all that kind of good stuff. Of course, there's going to be the people like PewDiePie, Markiplier, which everybody knows. But then there's also some more niche creators which might get a moment to shine. So, would be interesting, will be interesting. Theftlocke rules. It's very simple. The first trainer you face on any given area, you'll be able to catch one of his Pokemon. But when you capture a Pokemon, the battle ends. So if you capture the first Pokemon in a 6-trainer battle, you get to skip 5 of the Pokemon. So we're not going to do that. We're only going to allow the last Pokemon in the team to be captured. So what we end up getting is we run into a route, like Route 202 for instance, which will be the first one. And there's the first trainer there which is unskippable. So that's set in stone. Right, so you'll have, I think, a Bidoof and a Starly. We won't be able to catch the Bidoof, but when the Starly comes out, we can damage it and then capture it. This is to allow us not to skip a lot of Pokemon by just capturing the first thing in the party. But it's also very much because if we fail to capture the first Pokemon and it dies, we can just go on to the second Pokemon in the enemy party, and I don't really want to do that. So that is pretty much the basis. You have a cheat code to capture a trainer Pokemon, you run into the first trainer on the route, which you can choose, and there's a lot of places which usually you wouldn't be able to capture Pokemon, like in towns, mainly in the gyms in the towns, which you now can capture the first trainer Pokemon you run into. The last Pokemon of the first trainer you run into, I should say. So we're going to be able to get maybe like 1 or 2 gym leader Pokemon, because I think you can face Roark without facing any of his gym trainers. So I can face him in battle and then probably catch his Cranidos, which then will be able to evolve into a Rampardos. Other trainers or other gym leaders we might not be able to do that with. Like Erica, I think you cannot skip trainers in Erica's gym. So we're just going to be able to catch the first thing in Erica's gym. That being said, I think you might have to do the Plasma Galactic. Team Galactic. The Galactic Tower first in that city, which then means that the first thing in there will be able to capture the last Pokemon of the first trainer we find. It might sound really complicated and convoluted, but just bear with me. This episode we're probably not going to be able to catch too much, because there's going to be a lot of introduction and a lot of like tutorial stuff. But throughout the next couple of episodes, you'll get a little bit of a feeling for it. There's also going to be a number of routes where we cannot catch any Pokemon. Like Route 201, which we're on right now, doesn't actually have any trainers. It has wild Pokemon. You can catch Bidoof, Starly, and Cricket Sauce here, I believe. But we are not allowed to catch any wild Pokemon. Unless, of course, the shiny clause still holds up. If we run into a shiny Pokemon, we still can capture it. And believe me, we will. And this also allows us to, if we by any chance run into a shiny trainer Pokemon, which can happen, I think, we can actually catch it as well. We ran into a shiny during the last playthrough there, so I statistically doubt that we're going to run into a shiny again, but it's possible. It is very possible. Statistics aren't a guarantee, it's just an average. So we could run into 2 in a row and then not run into any ever again. Or we could not run into any for the next like 5 or 6 series and then run into one again, which is about average. No, because we probably... Would we run into over 1,000 Pokemon per playthrough? I don't think we would. Well, actually, with grinding we might. With grinding added, we might. So I think that's pretty much explained what we're going to do with the rules here. And by all means, try this for yourself. This is a lot of fun. It can be a little bit glitchy sometimes, where Pokemon you capture turn into bad eggs. But that's just kind of part of doing something the game doesn't want you to do, right? It's just... that'll happen, and I don't know what I'll do when that happens. I guess I will, if I can just easily, probably just Pokégen in the replacement for it. I'll just look up its movesets, and I probably won't be able to look up IVs and EVs. EVs aren't really that relevant. I probably won't be able to look IVs for the Pokemon I captured, but I'll be able to look up the moveset and I'll just Pokégen it in. That's pretty much what I'm gonna do. And by all means, if you like... play this, and if you let's play this, send it to me. Send it to me on Discord. Just put it in the general chat. We don't really have like a self-promotion thing because it's not a very busy Discord and everything is just in general chat. Put it in there. I'd be very interested to go and watch other people play this and see how they deal with it. Because again, as far as I know, I'm the only one who's ever done this because I came up with this. And maybe other people have done this under other names. That's very possible. Like something to do with Team Rocket, I'm gonna guess, if that's the case. But I think this could be a fun challenge. So I'm thinking we want to go with either Chimchar. I think we want to go with Chimchar. Because one, I like Infernape. I also like Chimchar. Monferno, I can take it or leave it. The Monferno will be good for the first gym, but it might be a little bit over leveled. The second gym, it's going to be good for the third gym. By that time, hopefully we'll have other Pokemon. That being said, we might be able, if we get lucky, to capture our rival's Pokemon. Which would be a Chimchar if we pick Turtwig. It's a difficult decision. Gonna be honest, it's a difficult decision, but I think I'm gonna go with Turtwig. Because it's good for the first gym, and by the time we get to the second gym, we should have a couple of opportunities to capture some useful Pokemon. Either flying Pokemon or fire Pokemon. In Chimchar, or there's probably going to be quite a lot of Starlies we can capture. I think the very first Pokemon we can actually capture is a Starly. So that should be no issue whatsoever. We're going to keep the starter Pokemon, by the way. We're not going to place it in the box because we didn't steal it or anything. We're going to keep it. I was thinking legitimately to play Diamond or Pearl instead of Platinum, because in that you actually more or less steal your starter Pokemon. In this game it gets given to you, but in that game you just take it out of the briefcase and the professor lets you keep it for some reason. This does not count. Not that we could capture anything or redo this battle, but we don't have any Pokeballs yet, so we can't capture this Chimchar. Which is a little bit sad, because I would very much like to capture this Chimchar. As it stands, we'll have to wait until Hearthome City for us to re-battle our rival to get a chance to get Chimchar. And if he doesn't end the battle with Chimchar, we're just done for. We're just done for. I mean, we'll be able to capture whatever it is he sends out last anyway. But I don't know what its team is going to be like. He probably... Does he have an Abra? Something tells me he has an Abra. Which would be very nice, because... Oh no, it is not a randomized ROM, so I can't actually evolve Kadabra into Alakazam. Tell you what, if we get an Abra, or anything else that evolves using Trade Evolution, at level 36 I'm going to Pokegen it into the evolved state. Because usually, that would roughly be the level a randomizer allows you to evolve Trade Evolutions at. But this is not a randomized ROM, which is really weird for me. Not to be playing a randomizer. It's an unrandomized ROM. I would say it's more original than a randomizer, because I've been doing a lot of randomizers lately. And I don't know what's going to be the series after this. Maybe it's going to be a randomizer again, but I'm thinking after this we might just go do something else a little bit interesting before going back to randomizers. We'll see. We're just starting with this series. Let's not get carried away and think about what we're going to do for the next series and even the series after that. Because hopefully this one is going to last quite a while. The last one only lasted 13 episodes, which... I mean, it's 13. It's unlucky number 13. Is it 13 or 14 episodes did it last? I don't remember. Hopefully this one is going to last at least a little bit longer, because I kind of want this concept of the Theftlocke to work. And it doesn't work if I end up losing the series after 4 episodes. I'm going to take a drink, because I have just recorded 2 episodes of Miss for Dungeon as well. I'm now recording this. I also, between recording those episodes and this, had some food, so... Not that that matters too much for my throat, but it does matter for my hydration, because there was a lot of chicken, which is very dry and was very salty chicken, so I am feeling a little bit thirsty. I have just talked for 13 minutes straight throughout the entire, beginning of this game, and still we're not done with the beginning of the game. This entire episode is going to be dedicated to the beginning of the game, and we do have the running shoes now, which will speed up things a little bit, but holy crap, Gen 4 is so slow. I mean, I knew that coming into this, but let's go attack speed fast. What frame should be used? Let's see. Do we have anything like edgy? Ooh, this is very edgy. It reminds me a lot of Generation 5, actually, that frame. It reminds me of black and white, and not just because it's black and grey, okay? It actually reminds me of it just because of the style, and it might have something to do with the fact that I had a checkerboard pattern with almost the same colors, I think, as the background for my last playthrough. So we still have to do the whole Verity Lakefront thing. It's a little bit double, isn't it? Because usually everything that happened before this point wouldn't happen in Diamond and Pearl. And I thought everything that happened there just would replace the Verity Lakefront, but apparently not. And as you can see, this one is very much galactic themed, and I'm looking over in this direction because on this monitor I actually have it. And the spots for the Pokemon are Team Galactic logos, and then the background is the Team Galactic building. Because I wanted, since I'm stealing Pokemon, I want to have a theming going on here for the evil team, and I think that makes a certain amount of sense. I was really thinking about making it a little bit more Team Rocket themed, because Team Galactic isn't really known for stealing Pokemon. That's mostly Team Rocket, and I guess a little bit Team Plasma, but for different reasons. So I was thinking make it Team Rocket themed and maybe do a Generation 2 game for it. which would have been the original gold or silver or crystal, because a hard gold, I just can't deal with the glitches. If I'm ever doing a hard gold playthrough again, it'll probably be a version of the playthrough which I can do on an actual DS and record it with like a normal cartridge, just so that it doesn't glitch out. And that also allows me to like get comfortable like in bed and grind rather than having to sit at my PC when I grind, which actually I don't mind sitting at my PC when I'm grinding, because I have gotten into the habits of watching. Really? I'm twice your level, please let me escape, thank you. I've gotten into the habit of doing my grinding, watching live streams, YouTube, anything really. I don't have to do that much grinding. Actually, I say that after I'm done recording this episode, I'm probably going to do a little bit of grinding on Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, because I need to. I'm about to head into a dungeon, which I don't know the name of anymore. And the last dungeon, I just had real big issues. So I'm going to try leveling up a little bit in that game. But if you want to know about that, just watch that series, because I think the buffer I have for both my Nuzlocke and the spin-off series is roughly equal. So either that episode went up like yesterday or probably tomorrow. Maybe in 3 days. But not much longer than that. Okay, so Turtwig. I don't think I know of any PokeTubers that have Turtwig as their mascot. So I'm going to keep the PokeTubers names pretty much limited to what their mascot is. Just in case, right? So what I'm going to do, because I didn't think of a name for Turtwig this entire time, because it didn't prompt me with one. I'm going to go into my subscription feed, which is rather long, and I'm just going to look through that, because there's quite a lot of these. There's about 1,000 of them. Wow. Who does Turtwig remind me of? I mean, it's not really a compliment, because Turtwig kind of like a slow dude, isn't he? I mean, it has to be the slow-mo guys, right? It has to be. We have to go with one of the slow-mo guys. So, I'm gonna go with Dan from the slow-mo guys, just because he's kind of like always the butt of the jokes. So, just because I called Turtwig slow right now, it's just I'm being mean, and if I'm being mean, I'm going to be mean to the person that's being insulted all the time. I don't know. Probably shouldn't have said that now that I'm naming them after real people. Okay, so we've got our first recruit of the series, Dan the Turtwig. And we're going to get right into actually catching the second one, because I think we'll be able to capture a Starly before too long. We'll have to go back to our mom to ask permission to travel the region. Also, I was just looking because it looked like I'm not actually like in focus, but I might be. I think my focus beacon just like isn't working, or maybe just my lens is doing weird things. I don't know. This is why I prefer a webcam over like a big bulky cinema camera, because a webcam will just one have autofocus, which these lenses don't have, and number two, always be sharp, because its sensor is like this big rather than this big. I don't know actually what the sensor size of this thing is. It's Super 35, so it's 35 millimeters diagonal. So what's 35 millimeters? That's about like this in diagonal. Can you see? About that in diagonal is the amount used for this camera to like capture an image, which isn't very big, but it's one of the bigger sizes actually for video cameras still. It's a size that film stock used to be when people actually used like physical film. So now I'm actually just going to skip through a little bit, because this is taking freaking forever and we're 20 minutes in, and I want to be able to actually capture a Pokemon on screen, because otherwise this is just the start of any Nuzlocke run, right? So I want to actually make this the start of a Theftlocke run by stealing a Pokemon, or at least attempting to steal a Pokemon, just throwing a ball at another trainer's Pokemon. That's what I want to do before this episode ends, and it's going to take a while because I have to run back to, what is the first town? We're in Senjam Town now. What is the other town where we came from? I don't remember. And then we're going to have to run back through the grass again, and then we're going to have to go through the catching tutorial, which we won't actually be doing because, well, we'll be catching things. Admittedly, we just won't be catching them from a wild encounters. It's all a whole thing. It's a whole thing. So, let's speed through this a little bit. I'm not going to abuse the speedrun too much. I'm going to be tempted just because Generation 4, very slow game. But the start especially is very slow, and I just want to get through this. I don't want to spend an episode and a half before I actually get into the meat of the game. I want to get into, like, well, the meat of the game before this episode ends. And the meat of the game is being able to capture Pokemon and having all the tutorials be done with. And granted, we're going to get like the Pokéatch and that kind of stuff next episode, which is still part of the startup of the game. Also, we got through a lot of grass without encountering anything. I wasn't going to comment on it just because that's just asking to run into something. But we ran into quite a lot of grass patches without finding a Pokemon, which I'm A-okay with that, honestly. I really am. Sanjay, I didn't even look what the other town was called. Well, it doesn't matter, we're never going to come back to it anyway. So this is Route 202, and we're going to get through the catching tutorial here, and then we're going to get a couple of free Pokeballs, and after which, we will finally be able to start stealing Pokemon. And the first Pokemon we can actually get is just set. Unless you do a randomizer, you can do a randomizer Theftlocke. I might do that in the future. If this whole Theftlocke thing is appreciated and you guys actually enjoy this, I might just mix randomization with the Theftlocke. The thing is, I can now choose which Pokemon I'm going to capture because I have Bulbapedia. So I can just pull up any route or Cerebi or whatever you want to do. I can just pull up any route and see, okay, so what trainers have what Pokemon in what order, and which one do I want to capture. This one is a route where I can't skip the first trainer, so this is always going to be this guy with, I think, a Bidoof and a Starly. I take out the Bidoof, I capture the Starly. I think. It might be the other way around, in which case we're getting a Bidoof. He only has one Pokemon, which is the Starly. Okay. So this is pretty much just a wild encounter, which is a little bit higher level. And that's the other thing. We're going to be fighting Pokemon that are a little bit higher level than wild Pokemon, because they're trainer Pokemon. So our captures aren't going to be as low compared to our Pokemon as they would usually be, meaning there will be a little bit less grinding involved, which should be interesting. Also, every now and then when we catch a Pokemon, we will be missing out on a little bit of experience. There's not going to be a lot of experience, but things like, I'm going to try catching Rorik's trainee dose, right? That's actually the most valuable experience in that gym. And I'm not going to get it because I'm going to capture it. Oh yeah, it's also doing a little bit of like glitchy stuff with the animation. But as you can see, we just got Starly. We got our first stolen Pokemon. And I don't know what I'm going to name it yet. So let's go back to our... you know what? I know what I'm going to call this because it's a bird. It's just that easy. I'm going to call it Toby. Because bird keeper Toby. And it's probably going to be the only bird we can capture in this series, because I don't think we'll be running into any Pidgey or anything like that. I need to remind myself that we're going to mainly run into Sinnoh Pokemon in this series. So this is just going to be normal battle. We can't capture anything anymore in this route because we've already gotten our encounter for this route. I think I have explained it thoroughly enough at this point, and I think you guys understand what the point of a Theftlocke is at this point. So, I'm going to try getting to... Did I say Hearthome before? Because I meant Jubilife. We're not going to get to Hearthome anytime soon. There's one more clause I wanted to mention. One more clause. Also, the nuzlocke has officially started now, so I should watch out for death. I think I can take you. Okay, good. because there are certain routes which have trainers before and after a certain HM check, like cuts, I'm going to pretty much on a case-by-case basis decide whether or not I can capture one of them on either side. Like a pinwheel clause kind of thing. And it's probably going to be something like, are the trainers on the second part of the route significantly stronger than on the first part of the route, which will probably be like, if there's at least a 5-level difference, I'm going to allow another capture there. So, as far as balancing goes in difficulty, I don't know if a Theftlocke is going to be more difficult or less difficult than a normal nuzlocke. I feel like it might be a little bit less difficult, because I feel like there's going to be a significant amount of captures more, because only on a couple of given routes we can't capture anything from trainers, where we usually could capture wild Pokemon. But on a lot of different places inside like gyms and cities, there's going to be trainers which we can face, which usually we wouldn't be able to catch anything inside the city. So there's going to be a significant number of captures we couldn't usually get, and I think that's going to make it significantly easier. Now, the actual Pokemon themselves, and how does Dupe's Clause work? Just like you think it would, I think. Dupe's Clause just says, if the last Pokemon of any given trainer is something you already have, you can just discount that trainer and move on to the next trainer. Which means that some trainers which are unavoidable aren't going to be an issue, because they actually end up with like a Starly, which we already have. So yeah, I think this is actually going to end up being a little bit of an easier challenge. And I think combining this with a randomizer is very much going to be more interesting than a vanilla Theftlocke. But since this is like a new and unique concept, and I have done them before, granted, but that's been a while, and I don't advise you to go back watching either of those series because they're probably very, very bad. I just want to like get the basis done, and maybe the next one after this will be a Theftlocke randomizer if it catches on. But again, I'm not gonna go into what the next series is going to be quite yet. Does Dawn fight me? Do you fight me? Can I capture your Piplup? I cannot. Okay. I was going to be real happy about being able to catch a Piplup there. Gonna be honest. That was getting me real hyped. But no, we did in fact not. So, does Luca just give us the Pokéatch in this version, or do we still have to do like the whole clown trivia thing? We get the Versus Recorder, which is not the Versus Seeker, I need to remind myself. Also, I don't think for text the speed button actually helps very much, so I don't know why I was doing that. I started recording today with a little bit more sunlight. And the sun's pretty much gone by now. I still have my lights set up, obviously. But the screen was going a little bit dark there. But I think that's going to do it for us today with the first episode of our Pokemon Platinum, not randomized on Nuzlocke, Theftlocke. In the next episode we're going to probably capture 1 or 2 more Pokemon and get ready for the gym coming up in the 3rd episode, which will be our first actual like interesting capture, I feel. Because these captures aren't that interesting coming up, I don't think. I don't know what the Pokemon trainers are going to have, because I don't have the Wikipedia up right now with me. But I'm going to have that next episode. So until then, do not forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you have indeed enjoyed this video, which hopefully you have. Until the next time, I forgot the common question of the day. It's been down below there. Also, facecam, if just in case you haven't been watching the spin-off series, and this is you only watched the Nuzlocke series, I have a facecam now. It's a thing. Bye.